stuck on this HTTP. Post my life up like looking at a TV. Stop your Facebook, get paid for likes. See, Zuckerberg ain't thinking about your life dreams, but they sell your info to the highest bidder. When I spill it all out, they gon' call me. I ain't even have to say it. It's sorta like your information, they couldn't save it. And I don't need to curse cause this flow G-rated. Find my post get elevated and we never regulated. S-T, M to the I-T. Blockchain, plug you in like an IV.
Alright, you guys ready to rock?
For your voice and don't let them go take your choice. Remember your voice, won't stop until you rejoice. You see that it is over right after the hangover. Make posts, that's all I know.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, somebody's got.
Who's got fuzzy? What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Steeming Pile. This is a special episode tonight. We have Josiah and Mike from the DigiByte Foundation. Well, Josiah, you're from DigiByte Foundation. Mike, you're from DigiByte SoCal, so you're on the West Coast.
Correct. Yes.
So it's 6:30 where you are. It is 3:30 in the afternoon tomorrow where you are, Josiah. How are you tonight? Or this afternoon for you?
Yeah, thanks so much for having us on the show, man. It's great to be here.
Oh, man. We're excited to have everybody. I'm going to go around, too, and introduce other people that are here, because this is kind of a crossover episode for us as well. So I help produce two shows on the Steem blockchain. One is the Steeming Pile, and which is where I'm broadcasting from tonight. The other one is Morning Coins with John and Chaz. So I have Gone Rogue, Patrick Ulrich, Narashi, and Sean S. Porter from the Steeming Pile. Is anyone else simulcasting or with us tonight from you guys? Are you guys just hanging out?
Yeah,
just here for a good time.
Still have a tour motherboard, man, so I'm joining in with Zoom. Yeah.
Okay. And then we have C. Rollo 3 from Morning Coins with John and Chaz. How are you tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing great, John. I'm playing the ventriloquist stop action figure tonight because my camera's not working.
You look great. You look great. I'm not gonna lie.
I figured I'd just stop it when I look good and then not go any further with it.
So for everyone out there, you guys can chat on. You should be able to chat on Vim if you have I think if you can chat as a guest as well as if you have Vim. So do that. We'll also try to read in your tweets if you're following Josiah's post that you put out, and then we'll try to bring those into the conversation as well. Why doesn't everybody kind of go around and do a little bit of a mini introduction to kind of like help open the show?
Cool. So Mickey here, Gone Rogue on Steam It, or MSanMcGill16 on Twitter. But dude, super excited about the show tonight. I know John and I have been trying to get you guys on for a bit now. Have been following DigiByte for a while, so I'll probably help drive the conversation and take it to a couple places. But yeah, I love what you guys have going on and all the good stuff, the tech. We'll try and get into as much as possible. But we're excited that you guys are here, so thank you.
Nice. All right, well, I'll introduce myself. I'm Josiah, here from the DigiByte Foundation, and I've been involved with DigiByte semi-formally, I suppose, for the last 18 months now, helping out in a number of ways, from doing things like live stream, organization, assisting the developers, looking after some Telegram channels, and generally getting in trouble on Twitter also. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I saw that. I saw some of your replies. Well, like we were talking about before we started, some of your replies about the BCH fork.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I get in trouble, especially first in the morning. Like if you catch me like right as I'm going to sleep or right as I've woken up, that's when I'm usually like, I got to put the phone down. It's not pretty.
Yeah. Who else we got, John? Yeah.
Yeah. Who else? Who wants to go next?
I'll go next, John.
Let's do it.
At C003 on Steam It. I'm John's co-host on Morning Coins with John and Chaz. I got about 30 plus years in banking and finance. And so John and I are both have sociology degrees, we found out. And so we meld good together. And we just love following the financial markets and the new crypto technology. The blockchain is coming. And don't stand in front of the train or you're going to get run over.
All right,
Sean,
yes, sir.
Do we have Sean connected?
Yeah,
Yeah,
can you hear me?
I'll go real quick. So my name's
Go ahead.
Narashi. I am actually the graphic facilitator for the Steeming pile. So what I do is I take notes during the stream and kind of sometimes I'll draw pictures, and it's just really to kind of capture on digital paper, if you will, what's gone on during the stream.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah, she's does a fantastic job of doing that, and so we'll. Are you doing that tonight too?
Yeah, I'd planned on it. Yep.
Yeah, buddy. So Narashi, probably about halfway through or at a good calm point or a slow point, we'll have her share. She usually does a good job at just saying, "Hey, I'm ready to share when you guys want to look," and we'll show it and keep going. Thanks, Narashi.
Awesome.
Sean, are you ready to say anything?
Yes, I'm Sean, and I'm just one of the simulcasters here, producer off the blockchain, doing some live shows and looking to produce and create content, on the blockchain, and just now.
You're on mute.
Wow, was I on mute the whole time?
No.
No. You're good.
Oh,
You're good.
weird. I don't know what happened. I must have pushed the hotkey that I don't know about. But anyways, yeah. So, just pretty new, I was saying, into crypto, 6 months or so, but loving the space and the community. So, and thank you for coming. Thank you.
All right. Hey, guys. My name is Mike, also known as DigiByte SoCal. Josiah invited me to join you guys tonight, and just wanted to come in and thanks for having us. It's great anytime we can talk about DigiByte. I joined the marketing side, if you will, about 6 months ago. I saw it as an opportunity to, just learn more about blockchain, but also contribute my own set of skills. I work here in the entertainment industry here in Los Angeles at Fox Studios, and so it's a great opportunity for me to learn more about the blockchain space and contribute any way I can.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for coming on. So how did he get you here? What did he say to you?
Yeah, he just reached out to me on Telegram. Was like, "Hey, man, I know this is last minute, but if you got time and you're available, come join us." And I was like, "Hey, man, great. Thanks for thinking about me and inviting me." And I said, "Okay, honey, you're on your own with the kids tonight, at least for a couple of hours." And I was able to
Yeah.
to skirt out there for a little bit, and found I came into work because I knew it would be a quiet place where I could not be interrupted with I got 3 kids ages 2 to 10, so they can be a little
Yeah.
intrusive at times. So again, it was just an opportunity to get out there and talk about my favorite blockchain, DigiByte.
Sweet. That's really cool. Yeah. So I have 2 kids as well, and my son is easier to put to bed than my daughter. And so that's who I was going to put to bed tonight because I knew that I had a live stream. And they come running back, and the son's like, Mom's putting me to bed tonight. And I'm like, I don't think so. I don't know what you 2 were talking about back there, but I'm putting you to bed. So that started a little bit of a war, but that's all right. Totally understand those issues, though. Anyone else pop in that hasn't said hey yet?
See, we have Pat here. Does Pat want to say what's up?
Yeah, he does.
Hey guys, I'm Patrick Ulrich. I am also a simulcaster on the Steeming call, and big time Bitcoin maximalist, as John kind of alluded to. So really looking forward to the talk tonight.
He's so appropriate and polite. Thanks, Patrick. All right, everyone. Thanks for being here. So I sent you, and I didn't even send this to our team, Josiah, but I sent you kind of what my thoughts on what the agenda would look like. And so let me go ahead. I'm just going to share my
And I promise I
screen.
read all of it.
On the Steeming pile, the whole premise of the show is that we set the agenda live on air.
Yeah, perfect.
So that's really what we do. But I was just going to show it just so we have a kicking off point for people to kind of look at. And Crypto Maxi, and for those of you that are entering things in the chat, I will be bringing those questions in. I'm just going to keep a list, and we'll kind of, at the appropriate time, we'll bring them through. So you guys can see here, introductions and opening banter. We kind of got through that already. And then we have Josiah, your DigiByte backstory, because it's pretty interesting, and you have you have a good tale of kind of how you got here. I don't know how long you want to do an intro on that, but then you and Mike can talk about the current state of DigiByte, and Gone Rogue, this might be where you want to kind of take your part of the conversation. There is a meetup tomorrow with Jared from DigiByte in the UK at 4 o'clock, and so I do need to, and Stephen P. Kendall did a lot of re-steaming of this event, and so I do want to bring up that link and talk about that. Then do a Q&A. We'll bring in questions from the community and open up the room for people that want to kind of call in and come in and ask questions, and then have a discussion around what's possible with DigiByte and with the DigiByte and Steem communities. Then we'll just review our notes and wrap up. How's that sound with you guys?
Yeah, excellent.
Okay. Yeah, man.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So we're handing it off to you now, Josiah.
I love how you say I've got a good backstory. Like, my backstory is kind of boring.
Well, then make it quick.
Sorry?
I said, well, then make it quick.
Yeah, it was. I'll improvise a story. Let's do that. No,
there you go.
I got involved back in the day, back in 2014. I heard of Bitcoin and started mining it. But I started mining it right as the first ASIC showed up on the market. So it was a really terrible time, because all of a sudden I went from I've gone out and bought a couple of graphics cards, to it's now costing me more than what it's actually worth in the power. Because the ASIC showed up literally that month when I bought them. It was a terrible idea. But so after that, I found Litecoin, and I thought, oh, cool, I can still keep doing this cryptocurrency thing, contributing. And then about a week or two later, I found DigiByte, and this was in February of 2014. It had only been out for about 3 weeks at the time, and started to get involved a little bit there, specifically in mining. Hey, we've got you back there with your video, mate. Yes.
We do. In service, but I'm here.
Yeah. So after that, I basically I took a little bit of a hiatus, went through some personal things, and picked it up really in 2017 again, and I basically sold my house to buy graphics cards so I could mine DigiByte. And that worked really great for about 6 months until January hit, and then nothing's been very good since for that side of things. But it's been a great ride. And I suppose the main thing is that I was literally just the dude mining, and I started writing some guides and things like that earlier on in 2017, how people can mine, how they can get started, how they can help out. And as a result of that, because it is a very sort of a decentralized community, there is no overarching authority. I was quickly, I suppose, grabbed by other sort of people, sort of similar to what's happened, I suppose, with Mike. And Mike started doing some really cool like presentations and things in pubs and things like that. And that's very similar, I suppose, to my story. I was just a normal dude, and the people who were involved kind of saw what I was doing, and they liked it apparently, and here we are today. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Nice.
Right on.
Well, if I may, I want to say my story is nothing similar to Josiah's, because I know nothing of mining, and that, you know, my background is very limited on the technical side. but I wanted to find a way to contribute to the space and contribute to the DigiByte community. So a lot of times, when things come up, I'm not exactly sure, but it's like I'm okay with it because I came to the realization months ago that, in fact, I think it was Jared himself in one of his interviews who mentioned how eventually blockchain will become so ubiquitous that people will be using it and they won't even realize that they'll be using it. It'll be like electricity. And I'm like, well, I use electricity. I like electricity. I'm a huge fan of electricity, but I don't fully understand it. I mean, I know it's, watts and volts and all that, but I can't, wire a structure, I'd electrocute myself in about 5 seconds. But, just because you don't necessarily fully understand it, and, as far as like getting under the hood and the nuts and bolts of how blockchain works, I understood that it is, a truly revolutionary technology that can just do so much for it allows everyone to participate. It's not just, those at the top, and everything just trickles down from there. This just evens the playing field. And I think, we as a society and just humanity in general, we've reached an inflection point where we have to, start, making some tough decisions on how we move forward. And blockchain can obviously play a huge role, a positive role in that movement forward. And so I've been just very fortunate to be involved the way I have. Again, my time with the DigiByte community started about 6 months ago. I was just looking at it as a way, how can I contribute? As I mentioned, I do work in Los Angeles as an assistant editor here at Fox Television. So I've got some experience in editing. I have access to resources that are, available to produce content, to promote the blockchain, to promote DigiByte. And so that's really where my story began. I had hauled it for over a year and just kind of, let it sit there. But, I wasn't really doing much else anyway, besides just chasing trades and trying to, research the latest ICO. But there was one constant theme that I kept hearing throughout my first year in crypto. And that was people saying, okay, stick with projects that have working products, stay with, projects that have use cases. And, I kept coming back to DigiByte, like, well, you know what, there's nothing wrong with this. Yet a price action hasn't been what I wanted it to be. I mean, it was, this time a year ago, which, everything was just going nuts. But earlier this year, and it made so much sense because I wanted to find a way that I could learn more about blockchain. And this was an ideal way to do it because of the open source aspect of the blockchain. As Josiah said, it's completely decentralized. There's no one really in charge in terms of it's not like a company where you have, different various levels of authority. You just go out and do it, and you don't have to ask for permission. You don't have to seek approval. And it's been a great experience for me so far. It's like everything I've done has led to something even greater. So there's just been, the opportunities have been just immense. I went from, okay, I'm going to produce, a little video, basically just using, clips such as this, just little bits and pieces, little sound bites, and create a video, put that on YouTube, and generate some exposure. But then it evolved into the next video I did was an introduction to our new mobile wallets that were released earlier this summer for the Android device and iOS. And so I did that video, which led to someone contacting me to do a meetup, and I'm like, wow, I haven't really done any public speaking in a long time. But again, this is a great opportunity, and it's terrifying because in fact, just a few days ago, I did another presentation at USC for the Trojan Blockchain Society. And when I was approached by some of the guys at the DigiByte Foundation, they're like, hey, do you think you can do this? I'm like, well, I don't know. They're like, no, man, you'll be fine. I've seen your videos. You'll be great. I'm like, well, but the difference with video, I can always just say cut and stop and say, let's do it again from the top. And there's this beautiful thing called editing where I can go in and make myself look and sound so much better than I really am. But, when you get up in front of a group of people and to talk about something that, again, I'm not fully an expert on, and I'll never be an expert. And again, I'm okay with that, and I'm upfront with that with people, but again, it's an opportunity, and you have to seize upon opportunities that present themselves like this. So that's just where I am. And,
Totally.
and the same with tonight. I was just planning on just hanging out at home and do some chores, and then next thing I know, my phone buzzes, and it's Josiah like, "Hey man, let's do a live stream." I'm like, okay, and here we are. And this is cool. I mean, this is my first live stream, and so now I'm learning how to live stream. It just is like I've learned all these other aspects that are affiliated with the technology, not just blockchain, but I had never used Telegram until I joined the DigiByte community.
Right.
So those things I'm learning, and also I'm learning more within my own industry. I've become a better editor, a better producer, a better writer. So there's just the opportunities are endless, not just with blockchain, but especially with a project like DigiByte, because it is such a solid project. It's a battle-hardened blockchain. It's been around and it's been tested, and it's just got an amazing group of people behind it and that are very passionate about it. And like Josiah and Jared and the DigiByte awareness team, and there's so many people involved, contributing in their own way. So it's been great.
Yeah, and I think just to touch on the first things that you went into is like the entire blockchain space has so many slots that need to be filled, and everybody thinks that they're technological aspects of it, right? Or these slots are just technical. Absolutely not. We need people all over the place, and it takes individual motivation to just hop into those places and take off. Do what you do, man. So that's excellent. Good shit, man.
That's a really good point. Like I saw somebody basically, they put something up recently, and it was like, why are developers on Twitter? It's like, well, and why are they doing like these live streams? Well, it's because they've got to tell people about this cool stuff they're doing, right? Like if they build it and they build it in this little silo and no one ever knows about it, then that's gonna suck. But at the same time, it's also nice for them to be able to get out and go, hey, look, guys, we've just made this, and this, and look how cool it is. And actually have some feedback from people to go, you know what, actually, that's really cool. We like that, and have a pat on the back or something. But it's also a little bit different because not all projects have things, I suppose, like DigiByte, where the two of us neither of us are specifically developers, but I'm still involved, obviously, in the development process and can take what the developers are doing and share that kind of thing and disseminate that information to the rest of the world. Like you say, it's really important. There's so many different aspects. It's not just about coding, but
and so okay, so we have this grand view of blockchains, and there's all kinds of stuff that's out there. I mean, you could jump down the rabbit hole and get stuck into really anything you want. There's a blockchain for everything. Whether or not they're all open blockchains is a different story, decentralized, different story. But what makes what are technologically, could you tell us what makes DigiByte a bit different than all the junk that's out there, and maybe something non-technological?
Well, that was one of the things that I recently gave a really, I mean, I'm kind of obviously a little bit biased and a bit proud of it myself because I gave the talk, but it was comparing DigiByte against Ripple and comparing centralized systems versus decentralized systems, and a permissionless system versus a permission system, and kind of trying to like contrast the two to give people a bit of an idea and say, well, this is why we value being decentralized and why we value our 5 mining algorithms that further contribute to the decentralization and all of that sort of thing as well. So, I mean, if everybody's faster than Bitcoin, right? Like it's kind of a given, but I remember seeing this thing a little while ago and it was sum up a blockchain in like 10 words or something. And next to DigiByte, it just said faster Bitcoin. I'm like, well, that's kind of stupid because everything's faster. Like that's dumb, but DigiByte's so much more than that. It's not just about being faster, but it's about having the scaling already decided. We're going to grow. We're doubling the block sizes every 2 years automatically through DigiSpeed and a bunch of other little things like that. We're multi-algo for further decentralization of the mining
and I mean, just the 5 algos for to decentralize mining. Just that aspect, man, is what actually drove me to read into DigiByte more and essentially like fall in love with it, be enamored by it. But okay, so you can take examples with what's going on right now with Bcash and how they've split, and you literally have factions that are saying, we're gonna take the mining power or whatever, right? They're arguing about who's gonna take mining power where something is, if you have 5 algos, that's impossible. Not impossible, but incredibly hard to try and, I guess, conjure up, make happen, right?
Yeah, the thing with Bitcoin Cash, obviously, and ABC and SB and all of that is basically they're not the dominant hash power. They never were. They've never been anywhere close to being the dominant SHA-256 hash power. Neither is DigiByte, actually, for that matter. And in fact, we're like a tiny fraction of that hash power. But that's only one aspect of it, and that will only give people access to 20% of those blocks. And so the remaining hash power, which we get from our S script or we get from Qubit, Skeen, and Myriad Grostal, that is where DigiByte kind of comes into its own, because we've got these 3 different algorithms all together where the main chain is the dominant hash power in 3 completely separate algorithms. And so if there was to be anybody that wanted to try and fork it off, they would be effectively having to convince the current miners their vision is better. And in a sense, that's going to actually be beneficial for us, because if their vision is better and the miners decide that they want to go along with it, there's no other chain that you can go out and somebody with a bigger wallet can rent the hash power or steal it from mining Bitcoin and throw it at DigiByte, this new particular fork or something. They can't come along and literally rent their way into dominance. You can do that with Bitcoin Cash right now. As we're seeing, they're taking the mining from, was it BTC.top and all that sort of thing, and they're throwing it at Bcash. So yeah, it's the 5 mining algorithms alone is such an insane security aspect, but it's more than that as well, because we've also got DigiShield, Multi-Shield now,
exactly.
and the being that dominant hash power in those 3 different mining algorithms. That's, again, I wrote something earlier this week about Myriad Grostal because Myriad Coin, because people were talking about, hey, DigiByte forked from Myriad, and it's like, well, no, we took some of their code. Yeah, we forked some of the code off of it, but we were never forked from their chain. But in addition to that, it's not just about having 5 algorithms, but it's about the DigiShield, which is now Multi-Shield, for the dynamic real-time difficulty adjustment, and it's the dominant hash power of those algorithms. Like, the combination, that's what's incredibly powerful. So yeah, it's I don't know, the whole Bcash thing is I'd love to see something like that play out just for shits and giggles with DigiByte. Like it would be interesting, that's for sure.
Well, what do you mean by that?
In terms of, like, if somebody were to come along and try and say, you know what, this vision over here, this is Satoshi's. It's actually, well, when we talk about Satoshi's vision as well, Roger Ver, he posts these like nice little metrics in Google Sheets. And so I copied the sheet. I added DigiByte into it, and we were like 85% Satoshi's vision compared with Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, which were, way down the line sort of thing. So Satoshi's vision in itself is kind of hilarious. And yeah, but
yeah.
I got you. So, because I saw one of your guys' messages on, I think it was on Twitter, where where DigiByte doesn't fork, where they split into 2 different coins.
That was also possibly me, like first thing in the morning. So you
guys drive, like if you do an update or something like that, you drive consensus.
Oh yeah, so the DigiFacts, that's something that we've been doing. So I was talking with one of the guys, and I said, hey, look, it's coming up to Christmas. Why don't we do like a countdown to Christmas with some short little, 200-character facts about DigiByte? Because there's a lot of misinformation out there, or a lot of things that people could do with, clarification. One of them was recently that the DigiByte Foundation held half of the entire supply, the remaining like 10 billion DigiByte, and that we had them. Like, the DigiByte Foundation has never even had 1/10,000 of that. Like, and it was all donations from people in the community. So this is not like a pre-mined ICO where we've got it all and we're holding it in, cold storage or whatever Ripple call it anyway. So we're nothing like that. They're unmined, basically, just like Bitcoin and Litecoin and Vertcoin. So, but it was one of the things, and we were talking about maybe we need to clear up these little bits of misinformation. And so that's one of the 40 that we're counting down over the next 36 days until Christmas now, basically highlighting certain things. Like, yes, we've forked 4 times. And every single time it wasn't here's a split and you get coins and you get more coins. But everybody's on the same boat, and we all agree that, you know what, we need to reorient and we need to go this way together, all of us on the same ship.
Yeah, and that was what I thought was interesting and cool about what you guys are doing over there.
Yeah, I mean, all too often we hear of a fork and everyone's like, yes, free tokens, I'm going to be rich. It's been nothing like that. There's never been a lack of consensus. And in fact, like, so when we come to talking about consensus, even enabling SegWit, we were the first major blockchain to implement SegWit several weeks ahead of Litecoin and months ahead of Bitcoin because of that consensus, because the people that are interested in the project know that, you know what, this is a project that's about on-chain scaling, that's about going to be, you know, having that kind of a growth and about the security side. And so it's, yeah. It's cool. It's a very different sort of mindset from, I mean, we've seen the change in what's the word, kind of the narrative around Bitcoin over the years. That's changed a lot from peer-to-peer cash to freedom of money to store of value to whatever. And maybe Patrick can chime in a little bit more there about that as well.
I was just going to ask him if there was a contrary question that we can throw in there that he was thinking of, but I think I heard Charles too. So whenever you guys are ready,
I was going to jump in there. I just wanted to throw out a general question to everybody. It says, what does the future of mining look like down the road? We've seen so many changes in the way things have been done. And what do you guys think is the future of mining?
Like Bitcoin specifically, or DigiByte, or staking in general?
Yeah, let's look at creating hashes and trying to resolve these things in the way we're doing them now versus what might evolve down the road a piece. Anybody?
I mean, proof of work is robust as hell, man. And that's obviously why it's going to be around for a while, I think. But I mean, you have who knows what's going to work in the long run, what's more efficient, what is even more robust. But you have Ethereum that's going to go to proof of stake, or they're at least going to have a hybrid in between proof of work and proof of stake. I mean, but honestly, who knows? And I think, I don't have too much to say on it, just because there's too many smart people work on it that know a hell of a lot more than I do as far as that aspect of it.
It's kind of interesting if you look at the likes of, let's say, Bitcoin Gold, for example, where they've taken it and they've decided, you know what, we're going to be GPU focused for the mining, whereas Bitcoin itself is now staying with ASICs. And even Litecoin was originally going to, well, it still is a slightly faster Bitcoin, and it was supposed to be ASIC resistant that's why they chose script, because it was supposed to be memory intensive, supposed to be impossible or semi-impossible to make an ASIC for. But they've kind of learned as they've gone along, you know what, these ASICs, this ASIC mining, yes, it consumes a lot of power. But at the same time, if it's only costing you, like, let's say $100,000 a day to secure billions and billions of dollars worth of a network that is permissionless and open and censorship resistant, that seems a really damn good trade-off to me. So I like the idea of basically having ASICs, also having the decentralization that comes from GPU mining, the stuff that we're looking at with AutoCrypt for FPGA mining, and other things like that. I feel like they can all kind of work together. It's a really kind of a shitty answer, but they can all work together and complement each other. I like the idea that Bitcoin is just ASICs. Like, it appeals to me that there is not enough hash power in the world for somebody to go out there and even get, I think if you're renting it, you can get maybe like 2 or 3% of the needed hash power to perform a 51% attack. Like, that's nothing. You're not going to be able to easily do that unless you have, obviously, the larger mining pools colluding, and then in which case that's a different kettle of fish. So let's not go there just yet.
Yeah.
There's a question. Speaking about a mining pool, Crypto Maxi said, does anyone know any updates about the mining pool, the Block Factory? It was a big pool for mining DigiByte, and it is no longer around.
It's not around?
It says, and not about a week.
Sounds like that's news to you.
It disappears.
Oh, no. Okay, so hang on, because I used to mine on them as well myself. Where's the... Are there servers down?
Checking.
Basically,
We're checking Crypto Maxi.
Yeah. So what happens is these guys, it's run by a dude. I think it's just one guy. He rents some servers from, what's that one that's out of Europe? I can't remember the name of them. And basically they're small VPSs that the dude pays like 10 or 15 bucks a month for, but he's making like $300 or $400 a day off of the DigiByte like mining rewards.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens, I think, is, at least this is kind of the theory that I built up in my head because it sounds really cool. The dude's off like sipping pina coladas on a beach somewhere and forgets to like rotate the logs on the server. And so occasionally they go down for a little bit. Like the domain's still up and the server itself is still up, but the server software at the moment looks like it's crashed. And it's probably just because the dude's off like, sipping pina coladas. I don't know. They're still up and the mining hash power is still out there from what I can see with the graphs and stuff. So
yeah,
I'll probably be back in a day or two. The dude usually reboots the servers or something and they come back and yeah.
There you go. Question answered. Patrick, you got one? Or he's looking around for his unmute
Quickly
button.
looking for the unmute button. I know that feeling.
What are you doing over there?
I have no idea. I'll be honest.
Patrick went to the UK football game today, so.
Yeah, we're still recovering from that.
Nice.
I guess mine would be based on what differentiates the economic side of DigiByte from a coin like Bitcoin. I take the view that as far as assets, it's going to be stores of value and thus currencies, that there will trend towards only being one. So what's the use case for something like DigiByte in that sense?
Yeah, I mean, like I've always kind of envisaged, so like you say, Bitcoin being to use Charlie Lee's analogy, as a sound money, to use it as like the reference point against all other blockchains. We're already doing it in Satoshis. You can buy DigiByte for 300 however many Satoshis. And I kind of feel like that's where Bitcoin has effectively like established itself as. Like, you don't specifically need to be able to run an ICO on top of Bitcoin for anybody to care. But there's certainly, from what I've seen, there are opportunities out there for another blockchain to come along. For example, it has a 1,000-to-1 ratio, supply ratio, compared to Bitcoin, which might be slightly more useful in a day-to-day sort of transactional blockchain where you can store additional data on it. We've still got the opcodes enabled and things for you to run scripting applications on top of. And yeah, obviously that's going to present some interesting things down the line as the blockchain grows, especially if we have people mining, 32 meg shit blocks that are filled of nothing just to try it out. Our block size limit's 2 megs at the moment, so we're not too worried about that. But it's possible. So I don't know. I like the idea that Bitcoin remains that sort of like that sound money, but I'm not entirely convinced that being just 8 times faster than it is going to be sufficient. You need to be, have 40 times the capacity, or in our case, 560 times the capacity and the growth on chain in order to actually have a decent value proposition. That's my theory anyway.
So the value proposition would just be a faster medium of exchange.
I mean, even it's a tough one because so in the Genesis block we hashed USA Today target data stolen from 110 million customers, and so we've had security in mind specifically ever since the beginning. Could that include security of your day-to-day transactions? Probably, and we do really damn well in terms of those 15-second block timings for remittance and general kind of payments. But in addition to that, the whole idea of being able to log in with things like DigiID, which is based on BitID, and to be able to store, document hashes for notarization and validation on the blockchain. I don't think that we need to specifically, as a blockchain, just limit ourselves to, I'm paying you money, here you go, sort of thing. I think that would be hamstringing ourselves if we were to just say we're really good at money and that's it. I think we've got a lot more going for us than just that.
Speaking of, there's a question from Crypto, and then Patrick will come back. He wants to know if there's any plan for DigiByte Gaming.
DigiByte Gaming was a project a long time ago. So there's two kind of aspects to DigiByte Gaming. There was, you'd get rewarded in DigiByte every time you would get like a kill streak or something in League of Legends, and a few things like that back in the day. The other aspect of it was there was the DigiByte Go wallet, was previously called the DigiByte Gaming wallet, and it's a browser-based wallet. So on the two aspects of it, we've still got DigiByte Go has been effectively kind of rebranded and is now called DigiByte Go. But the gaming side of things, where it was integrated with third-party software, the problem was there were exploits in the software and people were able to game the system and siphon out money rather quickly. Plus, it also requires somebody to be constantly on the lookout for partnerships with like gaming companies and things like that. And that's a pain, but I mean, It's doable. It's just that at this point, it was kind of, I think it was grandfathered simply for moving on to bigger and better things.
Okay.
So yeah, and I know you touched on a few of them, but this idea of being able to secure documents, let's say. So I know John also works in this aspect of things, but we're both. I guess my full-time job is working in configuration management. So I do a lot of moves and updating, revising of documentation, whether engineering specs, whatever, what have you. And one of the fascinating things about one of the possible use cases of DigiByte is the fact that you could secure these documentation or this documentation, and I mean, in one of the other applications is whether or not to find out whether a document has been tampered with. That's it. Very simple. Simple stuff like that. So that's fascinating to me too. So maybe you can touch on that and the DigiID. So I've actually gone out and so shout out to everybody and all the developers in DigiByte that made the Android wallet come out and worked on that guy. I know there was a huge push. And when it finally came out, I downloaded it. I'm a Mac dude, so I'm over here just waiting for that thing. But DigiID, once that thing came out, I know there were some demos and stuff where you could essentially play with it, log into a website and all that good stuff. So yeah, if you can touch on kind of like the how those things work and how they differ when it comes to security from like two-factor authentication, something earlier, because that thing sucks.
Yeah, I was firing it up on Blockfolio before to send the message out and be like, hey guys, we're doing this cool live stream, and by the way, we've got DigiByte Cafe and some other stuff, and pops up and it's like, enter your two-factor authentication. I'm like, I freaking hate this. And even Google now have like they've sent out like an internal memo, and I think it was made available publicly. Well, it must have been, because that's how we've heard about it. It basically says don't use those RSA key fobs, don't use the Google Authenticator and stuff like that, because it's too easy for phishing attempts and things like that. Like it's not secure. Same for SMS2FA. People can port your SIM card and transfer it away. Like if they do that, like that's not secure at all. So yeah, there's been a lot of kind of, originally two-factor authentication was like, yes, we are two-factor and we are secure and we're safe and nothing's getting in here. But people have now realized that's not entirely true, and it's still with some pretty major flaws. So the DigiID is quite cool because on your cell phone, I've just actually linked in the chat here. If you have a look at DigiByteForums.io is a demo site that we've kind of put together. And you can go there. There's links to both the Android and the iOS wallet if any of your viewers want to try it out. And so the theory is you'll go there and you'll either scan it, like you'll hold up your cell phone, aim it at the screen and kind of scan it, log in. It works by hashing in the sign-in URL along with the nodes, sends the challenge request back. Where was I going with this? Sorry, I put my phone down and it buzzed, and I was like, why is my phone buzzing now? Yeah, and so to be able to sign into websites like really fast and effectively with DigiID is I suppose we can do this now. We can do this sign in both in a pseudo-anonymous way, which is important. We keep it off the blockchain, also important. There's no data logging, again, further important. DigiID is cool because in addition, every website gets its own unique ID because the URL is hashed in. So again, further anonymity. If you happen to have, like, let's say your target data, 110 million users, was leaked, they can't take that data and mix it with some other, like the Microsoft LinkedIn data leak, merge them together and kind of start building like a profile with you and things like that, or retrying your same username and password, for example. It's all completely independent. So there's a lot of power in that. And I think we're going to really see like an awakening of people as they start to understand that.
Yeah, and it's so much easier, man. So much easier.
Yeah.
And like, if people wanted to, web developers or whatever, it's pretty. How easy is it to integrate it?
It's not too difficult, but it's not like super easy depending on what you've got. So if you're doing a clean implementation on some software that's never had it before, it's a change of mindset because you are validating people's sessions compared to accepting a set of credentials. So it's similar, but a slight change in mindset, and it's not actually that bad, all things considered. We've had people that have kind of looked at the code and gone, yeah, that's relatively easy, and here's a plugin for WHMCS or something, like, a couple hours later. So it's not that bad. I make it sound probably worse than it really is. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, if let's say you've got a PHP bulletin board, you can install the plugin and be up and going with DigiID in a matter of like a minute or two. So it's quite cool.
Right on. Good stuff. Anything over there on chat, John?
Yep, got a couple questions in chat. Any plans to enable multiple wallets through the mobile DigiByte Android wallet?
This is a tough one because we get asked this regularly, right? Like, so
I have a feeling that some of our viewers are very intelligent and down with DigiByte, because these are questions that I read them and I go, I don't fucking know.
So okay. Litecoin they've come out recently and they've said, inside our app, you can now buy through this or whatever. I didn't read too much into it, but my first thought was, yay, that's really cool for Litecoin. Go you. You can now buy Litecoin from within the mobile app. My second thought was, that really sucks for Litecoin because they're now giving preferential treatment to these guys. Like, how much do it then kind of begs the question, how much do I have to buy in order to get my widget to be on top of the DigiByte.io website? Because we've had, like myself, I've had 4 or 5 people come to me in the last several months and say, we want the buy DigiByte through us ticker along the top there. And who do we choose to do that? Do we suddenly have literally like 24 along the top in that ticker? Like, is that fair? Or do we take bids from the highest bidder? Are we then further contributing to centralization because we might be taking a cut off the top? I don't know. I'd rather not actually deal with it personally. So we just kind of go, you know what? If you want to buy DigiByte inside of your wallet, you've got Coinomi, you've got Edge Wallet, you've got, there's a bunch of them. I can't even remember. I think we're actually in terms of mobile wallets alone, I think we're in about 7 or 8 different mobile wallets. And so none of those wallets have DigiID. They can. We've documented how to implement in things, but those wallets are cool because they are multi-wallets, or they allow you to buy it directly from within the wallet. I feel like if we were, as DigiByte, to open it up and say, you know what, any purchases now from Bittrex, you can now, buy and transfer straight from the wallet with Bittrex and between Bitcoin and stuff. I kind of feel like you're opening yourselves up to questions. And I'm not sure that I like that personally.
Yeah, and kind of to go down a similar road. Dude, what is CZ's issue with DigiByte though? No, I'm dead serious though. Like there is some issue, okay? And the only reason it bothers me is because, I mean, one of the things that we all try and do here, especially from a grassroots perspective, is try and make these accessible to everybody. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and obviously onboarding and getting onto these exchanges is one of those avenues. Yeah. So, I know maybe some of those who are joining don't really know what's going on there. But could you fill us in with some of that nonsense?
I'll try and give you the politically correct response. If you're really, really curious and like a no holds barred one, there's like a nice long read that I've got on Medium where I'm pretty brutal with my thoughts on things. But the politically correct response is that we won like a one of those contests, like a vote for your favorite coin. What do you want to see on here, rah-de-rah? And they reached out to us and they said, cool, hey, congratulations. Now, by the way, I hope you know that this listing is not going to be cheap. And we're like, wait, what? This was supposed to be for a free listing. And they're like, yeah, how big's your pocketbook? We're like, wait, what?
Damn.
Like, what do you mean, how big is our wallet? Like, that's not how this works for a free listing. So some heated words were exchanged, and we basically told them in no uncertain terms what we thought of that. And that's kind of been the MO ever since. Now, the interesting thing is they come back regularly and they'll try and say, we're all about quality projects. We evaluate projects based on their merits. And I have a look on their website, right? Like, because I've personally filled out the application form a number of times as they've kind of slightly warmed to us a few times and gone, you know what, maybe if you bend the knee a little bit and kiss the ring kiss CZ's ring a little bit, then maybe we'll let you in there. And they're all about, we evaluate based on merit alone. So, I've submitted it and I've had a look on their website. Now, if you go there, we have like an A- rating or something like that, which is pretty high. You then have a look at, like, they've listed Bytecoin, and we've all seen the exit scam with that recently. Or they list a bunch of these other, like, shit coins that are, like, they don't have a working product or anything. And we've seen the drama that's gone on there. And it's a case of, look, so we have, like, an A- rating. You've got this, which has a B rating. This one has a B- rating. If you're, like, genuinely evaluating us based on our merit, DigiByte is probably arguably one of the first projects that a lot of exchanges come and list because of that merit. So yeah, read into that what you will.
The Vinny Vici says he thinks it's more that you guys might have an issue with him, and there are competing visions of what an exchange would and should do.
We've never paid a listing fee for any of the 86, 87 that we're on at present. Like, I got no qualms if other people want to pay a listing fee, but the exchanges are making money based on every single trade. Every time I buy DigiByte, sell DigiByte, buy DigiByte, and invariably lose DigiByte because I'm a terrible trader and I don't do that anymore because I lost like $2,000 last time I tried that. They make a lot of money off of it. They make money off every single trade, especially when you've got BNB coin, which is used to further subsidize it. They pump the price with that. So good for them. They've made a buttload of money. But, why should they trim the fat as they come in and get more off every trade? And
Well, that feeds back to the old centralized system, because that's what they do in the centralized system, right? So they're trying to play off of that capitalistic model that says, if you want to play in our game, you have to pay. And we want that.
Good for them, right? Like, they make money. They're entitled to make money. I've got no problem with that. But the nonsense that goes on with that we're only listing project based on merit. No, you're not. You're listing projects that pay your, like 50 Bitcoin listing fee or whatever. Like, let's not beat around the bush here. Let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah, we had a group in America that did that for a while. They were called the Mafia.
Yeah, fun times, right? Like, what are you gonna do? I mean, that's the thing, is it's a very unregulated and very free market. They're free to do whatever. Like, it's their platform. If they were to come out tomorrow and go, "Well, you know what? We just don't like DigiByte. Screw you guys. We're not listing you." I'd be like, "Okay, cool. Sweet." Like, I'm totally fine with that. This is your platform. You do whatever you want with it. But the whole nonsense of we're listing based on merit and you guys suck and you're a terrible project and that sort of thing, that's nonsense. And so I'm more than happy to call out the lies when I see them.
So,
Go ahead,
go ahead,
Patrick.
John.
Nope.
Well, I was just going to ask, you guys have enabled SegWit, so you could essentially just do peer-to-peer atomic swaps at this point, couldn't you?
Yeah, I've done atomic swaps with Bitcoin, with Litecoin. Like, I did it over like 12 months ago. I did like a video where it was my first ever like screen capture, and I'm doing like, I've got one here and one here, and I'm showing the wallets, and it was really terrible. But it happened like instantaneously thanks to BlockNet. We've been doing atomic swaps. Yeah, obviously, because like you say, we've enabled SegWit that fixes transaction malleability problems. Yeah, I mean, I think there's 3 decentralized exchanges that we're on. 4 if you count CryptoBridge, which isn't really a decentralized exchange, but think they're a decentralized exchange, but they're not. I mean,
All right.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, you can buy and sell DigiByte with Bitcoin, like you say, because we have SegWit on a decentralized exchange. I mean, they could add us to the upcoming Binance decentralized exchange.
Yes, that's true.
Will they?
Yeah, exactly.
Especially not with me on here talking shit about them, right? Like, that's not going to work out too well for us.
They'll never find the VOD.
All right. One of the other cool things that I love about the community is how grassroots it is, man. And what DigiByte and even some just entrepreneurs, if you want to call them that, enthusiasts, whatever, that will go to different parts of the different countries, third world countries, Venezuela, and try and promote the use of this thing and educate on what the hell it even is. So, from a grassroots perspective, and trying to get DigiByte out into the ether even more, to have more use case. What is going on the grassroots level, man? That you've seen recently.
Yeah, maybe I should let Mike talk a little bit about the whole grassroots, because he's basically a victim of his own success, right? Like, he comes along, like he said, and he made this video. And I remember like showing my wife this video back where I think it was like 9 months ago now. And I'm like, someone's made a video of some stuff that I said. Where the hell did this come from? And it was great. It was hilarious. I loved it. It was a freaking cool video. But he's a victim of his own success, right? Like, the whole kind of, we thought it was fantastic and he's stuck around now, and I've suckered him into live streams. And do you want to talk a little bit about that, man? Like,
well, sure. Yeah. I mean, it's like I said before, it's been a great experience so far. I've learned so much more about blockchain than I would have otherwise, because it's easy to say, oh, well, yeah, I'll learn, I'll do some research on that. Yeah, I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that next week. But, when you get approached like, oh, well, we want you to give a presentation on this to, some blockchain students at, the University of Southern California. Like, wow, okay, well, now I really got to buckle down and learn more about this stuff. Otherwise, I'm just going to get up like a big old jackass. And I do enough of that anyway on my own. So I don't want to like exacerbate that. But no, it was really cool. And going back to what Josiah mentioned before about my first video, I wanted to look at ways to bring what I do every day to the blockchain space, because I thought it was something that maybe hasn't really been explored yet. And this might be a sign of adoption that really isn't, talked about much, where people entering the space, bringing what they know into the blockchain space. And, like I said, I've worked in television a number of years, and I'm a pretty decent editor. And I thought, well, let's see what we can do here to help promote this blockchain, because it's obviously a deserving project. But, like Josiah said, there's no marketing department that, spearheads this sort of thing, which is actually, I found very, very refreshing. You know, in my experience working at Fox, you know, you do a cut, you're like, okay, well, this is good. That's version 1. By the time it finally makes the air, you're on version 23 because it's had to go past all these various levels of approval, and everyone's, you know, got their own opinion. They think they're right, and you know, and it's political, of course. And you know, as a producer or an editor, you're like, well, I just want to create something, and so this was an opportunity for me to really look out and say, okay, well, this is what I can bring, and it was just a great experience. I mean, it was a lot of work. I had to, you know, sit through hours and hours of things like this and presentations.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
And I'm not.
Use the next words carefully, mate. Oh.
Hold on,
But it
I'm
was
hovering
great.
over the dump button right now, Mike. Keep going.
Yeah, you know, so that may have come across not the way I wanted to. My point is that, you know, it's you have to do a lot of you know, downloading and ingesting and logging and trying to find just those little, you know, you just want like a little snip of something good that you can use. And you know, it's funny too, because a lot of the material, because it profiled, you know, David Hay. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He's the one that started Crypto Kukuta and put the call out to all the entire blockchain space saying, hey, this is what's going on in Venezuela. And we have an opportunity here to not only, you know, bring attention to the situation, but also provide these people not just with, you know, relief so they can just, you know, set, you know, for their basic everyday needs, just, you know, food and clean water, that sort of thing, but also to give them a tool, because the local currency, the bolivar, was just trashed beyond it. It's not even effective as a monetary tool. You know, whatever you get paid today, well, a week from now, it's going to be worth half as much. And, you know, the DigiByte community responded in a huge way. And so it was great to be a part of that and to bring attention to that. But, you know, David Hay, he's a fast talker and he doesn't use much of a cadence. So as an editor, it was very challenging at times to find, you know, like I said, because you just have these, you know, what you call sound bites or SOTs, just little snippets. Because what I wanted, basically, it was like a movie trailer type of a presentation. It was about 2.5 minutes. And it's kind of like, you know, when you go see a movie, you know, feature length film at a theater, and before the main picture starts, you know, you see all these previews to upcoming movies. And that's what I wanted to create. And I was very happy with the end result. You know, creatively, I thought it was great. But more importantly for me was just the feeling that I got from doing something like that, because it's something that actually mattered. You know, I've been very blessed to have a great career. I've got a, you know, great job for now. You may know that Fox was recently bought out by Disney, and so there's a lot of consternation going on around the hallways here at Fox because of that. And you know, there's no guarantees in life. You never know what the future brings. But you know, at the end of the day, it's just television, and it's really just a distraction at best. So to be able to produce something like the clip, you know, we call it Humanity Rises, and you know, it feels good. You know, it makes you feel good to produce something like that, and to be a part of the community that responded in such a huge way. And that's really the point that I really want to drive home, is that, you know, yeah, at the end of the day, I just made a video, and you know, I'm proud of it. I put a lot of work into it, but it's the community that came out, and you know, as David Hayes said, we were, you know, the first ones to really throw support behind this. And there have been other blockchains that have come along and are doing a lot of good in Venezuela as well. And you know,
so
as
I think
far
in particular, Smart Cash or whatever, is that right? That was also helping out a bunch. I think they were the other ones that have been.
Yeah, Smart Cash and Dash were the two that come to mind. And so, but of course, you know, in DigiByte, we continue to do great things in Venezuela. You know, just in my presentation at USC the other night, I showed video of you know, school kids downloading and installing the DigiByte wallets on their little, you know, handheld devices.
Right on. Mm.
And it's great, you know, and that's one of the great upsides about the mobile wallets, is that it's available in, I don't know, Josiah, what, like 50, 60 languages. So it's
I think it's almost 60 languages, and it goes all the way back to Android 4.2, 4.1 KitKat, which is like 99% of a billion plus devices that are out there right now. So Yeah, it's perfect. We're like, because in Venezuela, people have had phones in the past. It's only in the last like 2 years the hyperinflation set in. So they had a phone probably like a year ago, 2 years, 3 years ago that was amazing, maybe even an iPhone. And they're now running into problems where all these new crypto wallets that come out are like, you need to have Marshmallow or, something like pretty recent from like last year, which they might not have been able to specifically afford because that hyperinflation's started to now set in. So by supporting those older operating systems, although the device itself may no longer be secure, there may perhaps be an exploit for it, I don't know, we're still empowering those people to be able to download them. And so that's what, like you say, those tablets, I saw the video and I ended up like, I go to my wife and I'm in tears and she's like, why are you crying? I'm like, look at this. We helped, we did this, like we donated these tablets to these kids and they're learning Spanish and they're learning English as a result of it. And they've put those wallets on them and stuff. And so they're now using cryptocurrency in their school. It's fantastic. It's so amazing to see.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And also going back to the question about the grassroots efforts, last week, it was Josiah. He was actually here visiting the States and was staying in Los Angeles or Anaheim. It's a little bit south of here. We had our own little DigiMeet, and a gentleman came out named Adam, who he's the guy that created DigiCafe. And again, it's just a perfect example of just people going out on their own and taking initiative and doing what they can. He's able to create point of sale accessibility for vendors, and that's something that I think has been missing up until this point. And so he's stepping in and filling in a void. And there's people worldwide who are doing whatever they can. Sometimes people are like, hey, I'm on Twitter a lot, so I'll just talk a lot about DigiByte on Twitter. But there's other people in many other areas that are out there, contacting exchanges, getting us listed on other exchanges. There's a lot of other YouTubers out there that are really big on DigiByte and creating a lot of great content. So yeah, it's really great to see that people are they're saying, okay, well, it's a legitimate project, it's a legitimate blockchain. There's great people behind it, great developers. It's I think DigiByte, there's so much upside. In my presentations, I compared a lot against Bitcoin and Litecoin, mainly just because there are of course UTXO chains, and those are ones that people are most familiar with. And I tell people, look, I'm not here to hate on Bitcoin and Litecoin. I hodl both of them, and all UTXOs are solid projects. But there's one that's better, and it's not better by just one thing. It's not like, okay, it's faster and that's it. It's better by a mile. It's got the security, and it's got of course the speed and the scalability and the development where they, as soon as there's, I think there was an issue with design, maybe I'm sure you know more details on this, back in August with the Bitcoin wallets, that there's some bug. I don't, again, I'm not the guy that knows.
That was the CVE bug, that affected
and DigiByte was the first to incorporate that fix into the wallets. So it's great to be a part of a team that is so they take the initiative, and there's people that are stepping forward in many ways, and I'm hoping that people can maybe watch this and say, well, you know what, maybe I can do more too, because when I started out, I just basically created two columns. Okay, what can I do and what can't I do? And of course you start with what you can do, because of course it's actionable and it's positive and you can do things right away. But eventually you got to go back to the list of what can't I do, and filter it again and say, okay, well, I can't code because I don't understand that stuff, and I'll never be able to code, and that's okay. But is this something else? Maybe like getting up in front of a room full of people and give a presentation. Okay, I can do that. I just won't, because it's terrifying to me. But really, I can. There's nothing stopping me. It's stuff I've done before. When I was much younger. It was a very long time ago. So it's I'm trying to relearn a lot of things, and it's but it helps me get over my own. It's actually helped me get over my own personal anxieties, because I just instead of just being concerned that, oh my God, what if my car breaks down on the freeway, which is what I'm worried about. Oh my God, I'm going to give this presentation next week. What am I going to say? So it's my anxiety, at least it's focused on something that's productive, instead of just something that's stupid and useless, like my car might break down in rush hour traffic. But it's great to watch. You see these people pop up on Twitter and on YouTube and in various places. You're like, oh wow, they just came out of nowhere and they're doing great things to promote the blockchain. So it's a beautiful thing.
Cool. So on that note, right, like when you were giving your answer, Mike, and you were talking about how people were stepping in and things like that, that's really why I titled this show DigiByte and Steem, like what's possible with two strong communities, because that's what's happening on Steem right now. Is Steem Inc. is focusing on the development side and making sure that they have a protocol for their smart media tokens being done. And there are other people that are just building apps, creating their own communities, and helping do things on the front end user experience side that Steem Inc. can't keep up with or can't manage or don't want to take care of. So that's where they are right now. They're kind of in transition on like what's Steem going to look like next year and how that's all coming together. The cool thing is, though, it really happens the same way that you described it with DigiByte. Is people see a problem and it's open source, right? And so they just jump in and they'll develop something, and whether it's a game or an application or another way to take the interface and create a different type of website out of it. So I think that's really cool. There are a couple questions in here that we haven't answered yet that I want to make sure that I bring in. But also, Digi for Shizzy says that you have awesome video editing skills, and he would like to see DigiByte use your services more often. So you get a plug out from them.
You and me both,
Right
mate.
on.
You and me both.
And tell me that that's not the sweetest Steem name that you've ever heard.
Digi for Shizzy.
And Crypto Maxi says, "What is Oh wait, hold on, I gotta go up because it's a DigiID needs more marketing."
Yep.
Yes. Well,
Would you
that's
concur?
yeah.
Okay.
That we've in the Telegram marketing channel that has been brought up about, like, hey, let's make another video and focus on DigiID, because again, it is of course a working product and it works great, and so yeah, we do need to market it and get the word out on that. So that's something that if I have any regrets about my involvement up to this point, is that I don't feel like I've done enough. I haven't made enough videos. It's different. I'm sure Josiah has mentioned it. We're all just volunteers, and we do what we can when we can. Sometimes it's tough because
Right.
you work full time, and then you got kids at home, and then next thing you know, it's like 10 o'clock at night, and you're like, well, I'm exhausted. But hey, let's get back to work and hit the edit bay for a few hours, see what we can do before you gotta come back in 8 o'clock the next morning and start your work day.
See, that's the other cool part about it is like behind the curtain, everyone's still not everyone. A lot of people are still working and doing this stuff.
Right.
So
Definitely, yeah. So it's and it's great to see people step up and do the things that they can do when they can do it. It's it's not always easy, and again, no one's getting paid. We're just all doing it because we're very passionate about the blockchain, and we want it to succeed because we feel like it does it has the potential to improve lives for everyone everywhere, and it really is revolutionary technology. I mean, when I first got into it, hey, yeah, I wanted to make money.
sure.
I've been had big precious metals guy for a number of years, and had always hated the banks.
Now you're talking Chaz's language.
Okay. So yeah, I'm a big gold and silver guy, and I still am, but I got to the point where I'm like, God, this stuff's really heavy. Like if I had to like bug out in a moment's notice, how much could I really take with me? And it just kind of cumbersome. And then plus I noticed that the price of Bitcoin, this was, I don't know, probably sometime last year or like in the spring, Bitcoin had surpassed the price of gold and just blew right past it and kept going. And that's when I first kind of started, okay, well, let me look into this a little more. I mean, I'd heard about it years ago and I just kind of dismissed it. I'm like, yeah, it's not real, and I'm not technical enough to understand it, so I'm not even going to deal with it. I'll just keep stacking gold and silver, and I did, and I was like, well, let me take another look at this, and and I was of course listening, to interviews that had again focused on precious metals, but now they themselves were shifting focus to cryptocurrencies. Like Bitcoin are like, oh well, Ethereum was $7 a couple months ago, and now it's up to almost $100. So I'm just like, all right, well, I've got to get in on this, and that's when I first heard about DigiByte. It was actually my first coin. I had read about it on a forum that was completely unrelated to cryptocurrencies, but they were listing all the specs, all the speed and the security and all the great things about the blockchain. I'm like, well, let me jump on this train and see where it goes. And of course, I was pretty much hooked immediately. And again, for the longest time, it was about, well, let me just see how much money I can make on this. Either let me try trading, and I think I had about as much success as Josiah had in trading, and it was really stressful. I I was just like, this is not for me.
I had no success whatsoever. It was terrible. I'm never doing that again. I can't do it.
I know. I caught myself. I'm just like refreshing the page and saying, okay, did my trade hit? Did the trade hit? And finally it would. And I'm like, woohoo! All right, I got in at my price point, and then I come in the next day, and then it's just I'm like, oh, gosh, I could have just waited a day. And but anyway, so that's fine. But then I'm
I know the feeling.
ICOs and trying to find, well, what's the next big thing? And of course, there are so many scams out there, and you get burned because something looks good, but at the end you're like, oh well, now they've got the SEC.
Good for you though, man.
Yeah. So
that's the hard thing, is like differentiating these scams, right? Like trying to go, this is, especially if you're new, like you mentioned, you found it on some random forums. But how the hell do you know this is good, and this other blockchain over here that's a 75% proof of stake pre-mine is a scam? Like, how do you know the difference? Is it like someone coming in? It's daunting. It sucks.
Well, I mean, yeah, absolutely. What's the newest one that's? I mean, you even have people that have been in the space for a while that are buying into shit. Like Q and them. Yeah.
Initiative Q. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
like,
Initiative Q. That's the one. Yeah. Jesus.
What a great way to harvest everybody's email addresses. You're all Muppets.
Let's go back. Let's go back to Mike's video editing skills. So the first video that you shared, Josiah, the YouTube video, Patrick's going to try to bring that up, and we're going to try to screen share it,
cool.
and broadcast it. So let's see if we can do that. We'll get it queued up. Should be able to click to share the audio as well, and let's try it at least and see if we can do it.
I am a Venezuelan. I am proud to be Venezuelan. The music, the family, the unity.
Venezuela is our home.
Failed policies have tanked the country's economy.
Things that we have seen here in Venezuela are absolutely insane.
They're escaping poverty and violence and hunger.
There is a growing community of Venezuelans who are using Bitcoins to buy food.
The DigiByte blockchain, without a doubt, can be used for a tremendous amount of good.
To me, it's personal.
I still have family in Venezuela.
I come up with a pretty crazy idea.
We introduced these people to cryptocurrency to allow for mass adoption of crypto.
We have the longest, the fastest, and most secure UTXO blockchain out there right now.
They feel like there is no hope.
Places like Venezuela, those are the people that actually need this technology the most.
I was contacted by Josiah over at DigiByte, and they were actually one of the first supporters of this project.
He wants to make a difference in Venezuela. We're going to see what we can do about helping him out.
DigiByte was the blockchain that sponsored these original run of computers. The DigiByte community gave me a very large amount of DigiByte to go and basically spend any way that I see fit.
You could take DigiByte and you can send us into a nation like Venezuela, and this could actually work.
These people are economic refugees. They don't want handouts. They want solutions. They want progress.
This is really cool.
I believe in the project. I believe in the technology.
It's going to be an exciting ride.
I had a dream we could help these people with DigiByte.
How can you not?
That was incredible.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that.
Mike, we have a show called The Steeming Pile that is in great need of an intro. No, I'm just kidding. Josiah, I liked your hair back then. When was that? When was that?
That was not too long ago. Yeah, I need to also apologize for the mauve. It's Movember here, and we're
Get out of here! I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That was cool, guys.
I feel like what I need to do now is like kind of really quickly like ramble off a bunch of like really unpopular opinions, all like one after another, just to give Mike a whole bunch of like fodder for the next one, right? We can all say something terribly unpopular in the next 30 seconds and go.
How about DigiByte world domination?
That doesn't sound negative. That sounds positive. That sounds positive.
Well, it depends on what
would be what.
True.
No, I think Josiah's onto something though. I would love to hear an unpopular opinion from everybody.
I have way too many. Don't go there. This is. You won't want me back on the show again. You'll have no viewers. They'll be like, I'm turning this off. I had enough of this.
I doubt it.
All right, okay. Lead the charge then. Let's see. All right.
Gone Rogue, you asked the question. I know you would probably have one that's rattling off right now. I'm trying to think if I even have one.
Popular opinion to be.
As controversial as possible.
This will warm me up, so I'm gonna. I want to listen to some, and then I'll think of my own.
Okay.
Oh, here, I'll kick it off. I got an easy one. I'll kick it off.
No, easy ones. Come on, you've got to like give us a really unpopular one. Give us a nice one.
I was gonna say I like pineapple on pizza.
Yeah. Okay. That's.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Who's gonna kick it off with a good one?
Okay, I don't like the idea that a blockchain can have its entire value proposition riding on a second layer. I think that if you are going to be 8 times faster than Bitcoin, you've got to have a better value proposition than just you can build stuff on a second layer that doesn't hit the blockchain. I think that's terrible.
So you don't like off-chain scalability solutions?
I think they have their place, but I don't like the idea that you are a blockchain that can only basically be used as a slightly cheaper entry point to Bitcoin.
Okay.
I'm not naming names.
That's not bad. That's not too bad. I think that's fair, man. I think that's fair. Oh, shoot. I know we gotta. I need to remember this question. Who's next?
I'll go next. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Is that controversial enough?
Yes, it is. Charles, would you like to go next?
Say again. I'm sorry.
I think the blockchain is the initial step of the complete change of the human race. I think once we institute interoperability and artificial intelligence, that it will change the face of what the human species is.
That's not controversial enough for me. I like that.
I was like, yeah, that might be popular among this crowd.
Especially the people who've been here for more than just, like 12 months since that last bull run in December. Like, especially amongst the yeah, the crypto anarchists especially, you know, like I feel
Right.
I like that opinion.
Next.
Yeah, come on, don't leave us hanging out to dry here, guys.
Patrick, you have one. Wimon, do you have one? Narashi? Anyone in the audience have an unpopular opinion?
I don't know if this is more of a preference, but coffee with no sugar. Is that uncommon?
I thought we were talking about crypto here. Is that like a new blockchain? I don't.
Hey, I don't know. Someone
Okay.
said something about
On that-
pineapples and pizzas, and I ran with that.
Yeah.
On that
I punted.
aspect, I think on that you mentioned blockchain, dude. We've got to move away from the buzzword blockchain. Can't stand it anymore. It's been tainted.
It's been bastardized horribly.
Yeah.
Done.
Okay,
What's
how about
Private blockchains.
how about the term decentralized? That's been, kind of bastardized too a bit, hasn't it?
We need a bunch of new words that we can come out and basically be like, this is. Well, let's eco-bro ourselves and show our moral superiority because we use these new terms that are actually show we're so much better than the ones that say they're decentralized, but they're not. Or it's a private blockchain, which is fucking redundant.
Yeah.
Use a database. Be done with it. It's faster. It's easier. It's cheaper.
The Vinny Vici says, I believe there should be regulation to cryptocurrency.
There's an unpopular one.
Ouch! I think that's the
That's an
best
unpopular
one so far.
opinion.
Well, first he's like, what's the question? And then he heard it. He goes, oh, unpopular opinions. And then he typed it.
Okay. Well.
See, Patrick's unmuted himself. What's your unpopular opinion, man?
He's ready.
I'm still working towards one, but I guess for this audience, it may be that no coins hold a value proposition that their basis is a medium of exchange. Other than Bitcoin, obviously.
We found the maximalist. Here we go.
Yeah, for me, it just comes down to, especially now that we have the ability to do Lightning Network or even just things like, what are they, Open Dimes, that you can do an offline version of the Lightning Network. I don't see any value proposition to a coin that is focused on that. So that's one of the things I like you said, Josiah, is that you don't really want to, that ain't the full focus, is that time stamping, there's other use cases outside of that. So I thought that was a very interesting and valid point. Now, obviously I'm talking further down the future. I think we're still in the time that coins can have a value proposition as being a medium exchange, but over the course of time, I think it will converge into a single coin to rule them all for true value support.
I agree with that, though, like in a number of ways. It's not as unpopular as I would have liked. All right, like, why can't Bitcoin just be like the default that we compare everything? Why does Bitcoin have to scale to do 1 million transactions a second? Because if they're off chain, who cares? Like, just fucking use your credit card. I don't know. Like, I'm fine personally with Bitcoin growing to being worth $1 million a Bitcoin and having $100 transaction fees or something. It's never bothered me, but obviously, again, it's probably a second unpopular opinion there, right? Like, I feel like there's enough of the crypto pie to go around. It doesn't just have to be the one, not specifically one cryptocurrency to do everything or to rule them all, but yeah.
A cool question for Patrick. If Bitcoin were the only one, I mean, what about the coin supply? Is there any concerns because there's only 21 million or actually less based on coins that have been lost and are lost forever, or locked in Satoshi's wallet, whatever, the future holds for those? Do you feel that as a global payment system, is 21 million or less than, was that enough to facilitate? Because then now you're dealing with fractional Satoshis and okay, now everything's 0.000 on and on. Do you feel that?
0.000.
That would be my answer is just what you touched on the end is no matter what, we can always lower our divisional. We can just add more decimal points. So if need be, you could essentially view, like for Lightning, you can already go sub Satoshi at this point now too. So we can always just take the same thing and come into from somebody who's kind of been with a gold background. It's just that secure, there won't be any more, but we can split it up. So just like gold was the world's reserve before, you can do the same thing with Bitcoin. Just split up what the value of each little cutoff would be.
But we've seen how great forking Bitcoin works. Making any changes to it. Let's do SigWit 2x, yay!
So on that, and not to necessarily go away from unpopular opinions, we can come back if people want to. But how do you do that? Like, how does DigiByte drive consensus without, and being able to take the whole community with you?
Well, that was actually, so we had someone similar coming along, and they said, I think it was actually in response to that tweet you were talking about, was, how do you get everybody on board? Like, surely, like, he's like, what's to stop me from coming and changing things? And I said to this guy, I'm like, nothing. You can go and do it. And if your idea is better, then I'll jump on board. And we'll use this, DigiByte 2.0 or whatever. But the fact of the matter is if anybody were to come along and decide, no, we're not doing scaling on the chain, we're doing it all off chain, and that's how we're doing it, then that's kind of a little bit counter to the whole idea behind DigiByte, I suppose. That would be like going to Monero and going, you know what? We're not doing private transactions anymore. We're going to fork Monero and do public everything. Like, that's pointless. Why waste your time? Pick a blockchain that does what you want, that's already out there. Like, you don't have to go and mess around with, this one specifically. But I mean, if you want to, sure, go ahead and try your luck and see what happens.
Gotcha.
Has there been any talk of introducing any kind of privacy features in DigiByte in the background at all?
I mean, there's always been discussion about it, but I feel like if you're Monero and everything is private by default with their ring CT and all that sort of thing, you are immediately in a much better place than an existing, like, let's say compared even just to Zcash, where you could do private, but they estimate that only like 2% of all transactions are private. Not to mention it's a pain in the ass to actually be private with Zcash. It's really dumb. So I kind of feel like Monero have that sort of aspect down pat. And you don't need to be all things to all people. So that's why I look at Bitcoin and I'm like, you know what? Don't scale to be peer-to-peer daily cash for 8 billion people in the world. Why do you need to do that? Like, why can't you just be the medium of exchange, like the default value proposition that all other blockchains base themselves against, where one day you'll have $1 million Bitcoin, a $10 million Bitcoin or something. Like, you don't need to be all things to all people. That's why you've disabled the opcodes, because you don't need to be, storing data in OP return or running any kind of an ICO on top of it. You've got other stuff that'll do that faster or better, but it's not your value proposition, so who cares? It's fantastic. It's my theory.
Good stuff. Yeah.
There is another question out here, lingering.
Yeah.
In cyberspace.
Well, I will say that you definitely you know how to win me over with that last statement.
What, the $10 million Bitcoin or?
That too, yeah.
Did you have a follow-up question, Patrick? Or are you good?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so yeah, this one's from Crypto Maxi again, and I'm not sure where he is pulling it from, but there was a post from DigiByte about doing a new mining ASIC algorithm. It says, we're proud to announce that we are testing the next generation of blockchain mining tech, and imagine a mining algo that recreates itself every 10 days. So the question is, what does that mean for people that are mining DGB with ASICs?
They will still be able to mine it. So if you are currently mining DigiByte on the Myriad Grostel algorithm, which is the one that it looks like we're going to probably replace, you are likely mining it on a Baikal X10 giant miner. If you're mining on a Baikal X10 giant miner, then you can also mine Quibbit or Skein on it. So the fact if we do end up going and dropping that one particular algorithm, if you're already mining, you shouldn't care in the slightest. And if anything, I suppose you should potentially be happy about the prospect that although your mining hash power will be distributed amongst the other two algorithms, the thought of a new mining algorithm will probably bring a whole bunch of new eyes to the project, which again would hopefully increase the value of it and things like that. So it's not like you're going to be way worse off. You can still mine DigiByte and with the same hardware that you've got anyway. So we're kind of just fixing that up, I suppose. But yeah, the algorithm effectively recreates itself every 10 days based on a number of things using it uses the Kitchak algorithm underlying for the hashing function, and we basically changed a few aspects of it every 10 days in a way that is not feasible for you to make an ASIC with, because you would effectively have to go and rebuild the ASIC every 10 days. But if you have an FPGA miner, you can recreate the optimal settings every 10 days without terribly much effort, or you can automate the settings with GPU mining. So it's fascinating stuff. And the problem is I'm not a developer, but I've had a look at the code, and aside from being very clean, it's still way over my head. But I get the goal behind it and what's going on with it and how it works and that sort of thing. And it's fascinating, like really fast. I don't think there's ever been anything quite like that. So I think it's absolutely amazing. And I'm, yeah, we've started looking into doing like the testing and things like that. In addition to not just testing, does it compile, but you've also then got to work out GPU mining and get that aspect of it also fixed up at the same time and get all the ducks in a row. So it's not going to happen in 2018, I can tell you now. We're probably looking more late Q1, maybe Q2 of 2019, maybe a little bit further on, depending on how streamlined all of the testing goes. Fingers crossed.
Good deal. Okay. So I just need to do a little bit of a promo here. So we got to take a break for a second just because I got to do, I have to show the event that's coming up tomorrow in the UK. So you guys know that Jared is going to be at this meetup in the UK tomorrow. Is that correct?
Yep.
And so it's Stefania Barbalio and Fox Steffi and Cassiopeia Services is putting together this DigiByte blockchain meetup on Sunday. If you are watching right now and you're in the UK, it's 2 a.m. You need to go to bed, right? You're never, well, you could sleep in because it doesn't start till 4 o'clock. But they have everybody in there on Steemit and all their Twitter accounts and things like that. So there is a London meetup tomorrow at 4. And Jared's going to be there. Has he ever been to the UK before? And have you guys talked with him about this?
For a couple of other things. I don't know specifically if he was giving like a nice, like, you know, it wasn't a meetup like this. But I believe he's just wrapped up at BitSpace and is now headed from BitSpace specifically to this London meetup.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so that's going on tomorrow. And Stephen Kendall is so he kind of is the one that kind of inspired me to at least start the conversation around what's possible with the Steem and DigiByte communities. And so he's a very big proponent on that. He has a very he has a large following and is always bringing people to Steem to get a Steem account and get involved over here, but then also in terms of the power and flexibility of DigiByte. So I definitely want to make sure that I mention that event and mention him. Anyone else have anything to say on this? And if not, let's check in with Narashi and see where we are and possibly do a screen share on our notes.
So on this, I think they had to go and move it eventually. So make sure that you go and you check and because they changed their old event, it wasn't going to be large enough. They had too many people come along, so they have moved it. Make sure you're aware of where it is. Just check in and double check the address tomorrow, I suppose.
Cool. Good deal. And then you just go to the registration right down there and sign up.
Cool. So I will share this graphic. I am still what I'm doing is I'm actually writing everything down on paper, trying to keep up. And I don't have everything written yet, but I'm going to go ahead and share what I've got. All right, so there's that. Hopefully you guys can see.
Nice.
Yep, so this is yeah, and there's like so much that you guys are going over that I don't understand. So I'm literally just copying verbatim. So it's super hard to keep up. But yeah, if there's anything on here you guys have questions about.
Cool. I like the changing of the colors.
Sweet.
Nice. This is cool.
Yeah, so we do that, and we'll make sure that you guys get a copy of this afterwards, and we post this with our VOD and do all that stuff all over Steam and on all of our accounts. So that's awesome.
Yeah, so for the new and upcoming, definitely feel free to mention the new mining algorithm. So it's called OdoCrypt, ODOCRYPT. And yeah, so whoever it was that asked about it, they're right. It is going to change itself effectively every 10 days and kind of rebuild itself. So you won't be making an ASIC miner for it, which is pretty cool.
Awesome.
And okay, and that was Crypto Maxi who asked that question. And DigiFashizi wants to know about proof of stake and if DigiByte's gonna be adding that. Ooh.
It's being talked about, but I think Jared's more of a fan of it than I am personally. But I can see the merit in it. At this stage, it's not going to happen, obviously, before OdoCrypt, and there's some other things we're potentially looking at prior to, I suppose, it being on the cards, unless somebody wants to go and fork DigiByte and make it all proof of stake. Yay. I don't see that happening, so... the proof of stake's nice, but it's the centralization. What we've seen with Bitcoin Cash, especially recently, and being able to buy and rent the hash power to make your chain the longest and to give yourself the most authority, is that the right word? Like on the chain? You can do even more of that with proof of stake. You just buy up the coins. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, here's a question. This will be a question for some of you or all of us. The question is kind of the title of the show. What is possible between our two communities, the DigiByte and Steem community? What's possible?
Well, I'll jump in here and just make a quick comment because, I do have a Steem account, but I haven't really used it as much as I would have liked. But, I know it's a social media platform on the blockchain. So I think, it has a lot of potential in terms of, how we can, leverage it from, the DigiByte marketing aspect because, the social media side of it, of course, everyone's on Twitter and some people are on Facebook. I'm not. I don't deal with Facebook or Instagram, but Twitter is a great place to for social media on regarding the crypto space. But if we can put things on Steem, it just to anything that can just drive awareness and get more eyeballs and people aware of the blockchain so they can learn more about it. I think obviously education is important, and it's been difficult to market blockchains in general just because we're in this bear market and people either they bought at the top, this time a year ago and either they're bitter because they're down so much or, they just don't want to hear about it at all. Or it's not on their radar because it's just not talked about the way it was, this time a year ago. So for me personally, I'm interested in learning more about Steem. It just, just just as another avenue to reach out to the world. I know you can share videos on there as well, and which I think is important because we're all aware, I'm sure, of the issues that YouTube has been running into recently with a lot of their censorship of channels that they don't approve of or align with politically. Whether it's just shutting the channels down altogether or giving them strikes so they can't do live streams, or they're messing with the view counts, which of course is what counts towards the monetization, and other channels have been demonetized. So yeah, I think there's a lot of potential there with a platform like Steem, because it is social media centric, and it is a place where people can go and share articles and videos and other content and spread ideas in that regard.
That's an interesting point, especially, so you mentioned YouTube, but I also think that in a semi-roundabout way, both DigiByte and Steemit are solving the Facebook problem, if you will. Because people are sick of that problem with, the censorship and things like that, and everyone's kind of literally just tired of the platform. But in addition to that, DigiByte's also solving the security problem, which was also very publicly despised, or whatever you want to call it. Like, it sucked. I was one of those accounts that was logged out and was a victim of that vulnerability. The security, like, you can basically take both of those two communities, the security aspect for DigiByte, and in fact, it's actually, why don't we look at getting DigiID on there as some kind of an authentication method for Steemit? But in addition to that, like, Steemit also solves the whole, like, the other side of the coin, if you will. It's so DigiByte's really great in terms of the cybersecurity. That's our focus, and logging into the platform would certainly be a whole lot easier, and you can, the security side of that. But then you've got the great part where you are then the monetization and things of what you share on Steemit, which solves the the flip side of the problem, if you will. So I kind of think the two communities, especially if you look at it, right, both communities are sub $1 in terms of their buying cost right now. Supply is relatively high for them. And so we've both have rather large communities as a result of that. And I feel like, especially if the two of them were working together a lot more, we get past that kind of this coin is better than this one sort of hostility that we see all the time, the tribalism that is rampant in the blockchain space, and actually realize, what, these two projects can complement each other really well. I think that would be freaking cool. So, I mean, unfortunately, I'm not a developer, and I offer basically nothing in terms of the physical side or the coding side to bringing DigiID to Steemit. But how badass would that be? Like, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think that's show either 2 or 3 is like this group here that's on tonight has to get together and figure out who are the developers from each side that we need to bring and host a panel discussion on what's possible among the two communities again. Because I think if you can open up a conversation along those lines, then you start to see, like, you might start to see headway in that area. But I think the way you just outlined that, it resonates with me. I think what both of you guys said is really cool. Going Road?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were fixing to say something. Yeah, I think you would too, Patrick. I think Jarvie from Steam Peak would be good, and if you guys have someone on your end that you think might be interested in at least having a conversation to explore what that might look like, let's do that. And then, Mike, if you have interest or if you want to stay in touch with any one of us, and we'll help you kind of just get going again with putting stuff on Steam. And you saw Patrick put up there earlier, and I talked about it with Twitter. There's a new application called Share to Steam where you use that hashtag, connect your Twitter account, and it posts to your Steam account automatically. And with the strength that you guys already have on Twitter, that would be,
oh my God, yeah.
It would be unbelievable. So yeah, so just stay in touch, and we'll be glad to help use that. Anyone have anything else? How about anyone from the Steam side? What's bubbling up for you around what's possible?
Yeah, not here. I think you covered it pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah, and I like that idea. I like that idea. Yeah, who knows? Who knows if we could pull these guys together? That would be super fascinating.
Patrick?
All right, you guys.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I don't know where everybody else is at. But I gotta run. I gotta jump out of here.
Okay.
And before that happens, though, I want to ask Josiah and I want to ask Mike. What are your guys' last thoughts on being able to, I don't know, reach out to more community members, more people using DigiByte, and what can they do to help? Just simple stuff.
Do you want to tackle that first, Mate?
Well, I would say stick with what they know. Again, that's the approach I took, and it seemed to be very effective and work out best because that's what you know, and that's what's actionable, what you can do today. But just don't limit yourself. That's what's so amazing about being an open source project the way DigiByte is that you're only limited by your own imagination, really. You can just and don't hold back, and seize on the opportunities. When I started this, I just wanted to make some videos, and that was really it. That was my only expectation going forward. But every time I did something, it led to something bigger, and I just had to really examine and say, okay, well, here's an opportunity to do something to grow both professionally and learn more about the blockchain in general, and then also the technology behind it and all these cool apps that are coming out. And 6 months ago I was nobody, and not that I'm anybody today either, but at least we're moving things forward to of course we all want to mass adoption. We want everyone to use blockchain, and it's happening slowly, of course maybe not as fast as we would have liked, but that's what's been great about this bear market, really, is that even though the price crashed and the development has been ongoing, the innovation has continued. Excuse me. When you see headlines about it's not Coinbase laying off 5,000 people, it's the Wells Fargo's that are laying off 5,000 people because they represent the fraud, they represent the old system. So I think from the marketing standpoint, it's just a matter of just continuing to get out there and do what you can. I have ideas. I'm just like, oh man, it'd be great to just go down to Santa Monica Farmers Market and just go around with I've got the DigiByte flyers and talk to them and say, hey, what are your thoughts on this, and just plant the seeds. Sorry about the pun, it's terrible, but just so that they're aware, or maybe they are aware, but they don't know where to start. And maybe if someone just walks up to them and just say, well, this is where you can start. Go download the wallet. I'll even send you some just so you can see how fast it is and how it works and how simple it really is. And I think that's really key here, is just the simplicity on the development and innovation side has really, has really progressed to the point where people like me can figure it out. That's kind of my approach when I talk to people. I'm like, well, look, I'm as I've said, I'm not a super technical guy, at least not when it comes to this. I'm more media and editing kind of side of things, which unfortunately I haven't really been able to translate over into understanding the blockchain aspect of it, at least not yet. But so I think going back to the original question, that just for anyone that's out there and maybe you're on the sidelines and you're like me, where I was 6 months ago, where you're just like, hey, I want to contribute. I have skills in a certain area and I want to bring that skill to the blockchain space, then just do it. You can obviously just reach out to either myself or Josiah or anyone in the DigiByte Telegram chats or to the DigiByte awareness team and offer your services, or don't. You just do it. And that's what's so great about open source marketing. You can just do it, and everyone loves it because it adds to the awareness and exposure and visibility of the blockchain.
Yeah, I think like to add to that even is it's not like Mike said, he had a list of this is what I can do and this is what I can't or won't do, whatever. But if you can't code, if you can't contribute to the DigiByte or the Bitcoin code base, don't worry. Like 99% of us out here can't. The people who can, they're unicorns and they are far and few between. And it's when you see one, it's like majestic and magical. But most people can do a bunch of other things. You can go and you can talk to your neighbor and be like, hey man, you know what? I can show you how to do this. Or you can go down to Santa Monica Pier, or if you know, people can write guides, or they can do videos on you know, different channels and things. Or even if your involvement is literally just you downloading the wallet and running it on your computer, that is still you contributing to the consensus of the network in a very direct way. So it's not so much just limited to I can run a successful YouTube channel or I can code. There are so many ways. You do whatever it is you do best, you do that. That's fantastic. So yeah, I think as well the main thing is people don't specifically need to focus on just converting the other crypto geeks at the moment, because there's, you know, we're effectively already, if you are in this space, you're the 1%, you're the early adopters. Yeah, we've been doing this now for almost 10 years, but we're still very young in this market and very young in this entire technology. Focus on the 99%. Do like, you know, like the stuff that we're doing, I suppose, in Venezuela. Focus on bringing it to the people who need it, that you can help.
Yeah, I wish Charles was here, because I think that like Flint, Michigan needs it in their water situation. So like things like that, right? You can use DigiByte to do movement type work.
Yeah.
If you want.
It doesn't need to be something specifically like super big.
Mm-hmm.
It can be something like a small gesture, but every one person that you get on board is a life change maybe, and that kind of that economic freedom that you give them. As polarizing as he is, Roger Ver is largely responsible, because like Mike said, he would just simply go to people and go, you know what, here's some Bitcoin. I've just sent you wealth. Yeah, sure, maybe it's like $1 or maybe it's 10 cents. Who cares? It doesn't matter. I've shown you. You've got the wallet. You've seen how powerful this technology can be, that nobody can stop you sending me that or me sending you that. Like, that's game changing. And so every person that you introduce to it, it's huge.
I have to second that, because it goes so much further. Even when you mentioned Roger, his Honey Badger billboard, even though I'm not even in the Southern California area, having it come to me helped my understanding to get me into Bitcoin back in the day. So even that small thing that you may do that's to one person may affect somebody on the whole other side of the world. So completely agree there.
Cool stuff. All right. Well, Gone Rogue, I know you got to go. We got a couple more questions here in the chat. We can ask them, and then I think we'll just roll out and call it a broadcast. But I think we've had a great conversation. There's a lot to unpack. I think that anyone watching the VOD will have some good stuff to sift through. So, with that, you guys can go as you need to. That's not a problem. We'll do I think 1 or 2 more questions, and then we'll get out. One is, does Josiah have any info on the real estate app that Jared's working on?
Yes.
He has info. He's not giving it to you, so thanks for asking.
It's coming. He's talked about it a little bit. It's called Visti, and it's coming soon.
There you go.
How soon? I mean, are we talking like Microsoft soon? Are we talking Valve soon? Like Half-Life 3 soon? I can't specifically comment, but I know it's not gonna be Half-Life 3 soon, but it's coming soon.
Cool. The Vinny Vici said, because this was back on the when I think it was Mike, when he said, you know, Coinbase isn't laying off 5,000 people, Wells Fargo is, and he said the Wells Fargo closed down near him, and now to go to the bank he has to drive 20 minutes or switch to a more local bank.
No way.
And he says, I think what people don't understand is money. Most people don't realize that the government controls the money concept. Yes, you give me DigiByte right now, but I can give you $1. Most people don't realize that one day they could stop that. They tax you on that, etc. So control of the money is the biggest societal factor for cryptocurrency.
Well, they've done that as well. I think it was India. They basically decided it was like anything under 50 rupees or whatever. They're like, you know what? They're no longer, as of Friday, they're no longer going to be active current. This was a few months ago. But they basically gave everyone like a week's notice and were like, it's not legal tender anymore. Don't accept it.
Wow.
Could you imagine somebody basically going, you know what? Anything under 100 Satoshis, don't accept it. Like, you can't do that.
Right.
So, yeah.
So there wasn't a question in there. So I think that's it.
Yeah.
And any close? Yep. Go ahead, Mike.
Patrick, if I could. Patrick, did you say earlier you went to the UK game today? Is that true?
Yeah, UK, University of Kentucky.
Really? You're in Kentucky right now?
Yeah.
Are you from there?
Yeah, I'm here in Lexington, actually.
Dude, I grew up there.
Really? It's such a small world.
I know, dude. It's so crazy. I heard it like UK, really? And I knew we were talking about the UK meetup and stuff, but I was like, maybe he really did meet University of Kentucky. Yeah, I went to Tates Creek High School, graduated in 91. So yeah, I haven't been back in a couple of years, but yeah, man, it's a small world, man. Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is super cool.
Made it a fun one this year.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's awesome, man. That's man, I miss it. It's open space and fresh air and no traffic like LA.
Bunch of whiskey distilleries.
Bourbon.
Bourbon distiller. Oh, sorry guys.
Yeah, I got big difference.
If
you're right. You're right.
Love to invite you out. We have a couple meetups that we have going here in the area now. So if you're ever back, I'd love to get you here and let you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Next time in town, I'll definitely look you up and yeah, maybe we can work something out. And that's great that you have meetups. I mean, that's something I've been actually involved with for a few months now. Not necessarily like presenting. That's more kind of recent, but I think it's great that people are getting together and discussing blockchains in person. Because that's this is a thing that's based off the internet, of course, but at the end of the day, it's all there's people behind it, and when people they get together physically in the same space, then it's like it's really neat because there's this kindred spirit among all of us. We all kind of share the same thirst for transparency and something that blockchain offers. So man, kudos to you for having that initiative for doing a meetup there in Lexington. I'll see if I can track down some old friends and say, hey, go to this and learn about this because you need to. I mean, this is the way forward for everyone. So good on you, man. Appreciate it. What you doing?
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, anyone? Any closing thoughts from anyone? I just think, like I said earlier, there's a lot to unpack for me. Some of the stuff that you guys were talking about is a little bit over my head in case you didn't notice. But I think that I really appreciate you guys coming in and speaking from your perspective about DigiByte. And I also really like the conversation that we kind of ended on around what's possible with the power and strength of our two communities. So I want to thank you both for being here and for my Steeming Pile friends and co-streamers and Narashi as usual for graphic facilitation. And I think C-Rolo3, I think Chaz had to leave, but he is my partner in crime in tackling all of our questions about blockchain on Morning Coins with John and Chaz. So appreciate him being here too. And for everyone that I read questions from in the chat, you guys were lively, active, great participation tonight. So we're very appreciative of that. And then for those of you who are watching that weren't able to chat because you're not on Steem, I think you guys need to go to steemit.com and register for an account. It's free.
And thanks for having us on the show, man. Really appreciate it. This has been fantastic.
Thank you.
We'll keep in touch.
Yeah, It was a lot of fun. Thank you, guys.
And we'll upload it and make sure that you guys have a copy of the VOD and any Steeming Pile folks. You guys have any things you want to say as we go?
Nada. It's been beautiful, man.
Yeah,
and
thanks.
I think, continuing spreading the word and the knowledge around all of this stuff, especially with use cases, what's possible, all that good stuff. We got to keep going with it, keep going with the education, all that good stuff. So appreciate you guys being here to continue that.
You know, a little off-topic one. Would you guys happen to know if General Bytes ATMs are supporting DigiByte?
Yeah, we got added onto them about 6 months ago. I think it was in May, maybe April. They didn't do any kind of big announcement. It was literally just in their changelog, like, by the way, we support DigiByte. Because it was actually our lead Android developer was the one who submitted the code to them to implement it, and they just basically went, cool, done. So yeah, that was a few months ago. Yeah, so if you're interested and you've got a General Bytes ATM near you, you can buy. Oh, it's right behind you.
There. That was a loaded question, man.
That was going to be my next question. I definitely want to connect offline to talk a little bit more about possible integrations there.
Yeah, man. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, guys. This has been great.
All right. Thanks, Josiah. Thanks, Mike. We will
guys.
see
Cheers,
you
brother.
all.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you. This special episode of the Steeming Pile, DigiByte and Steem, the power of two communities. We'll see you all later.
Right on. Cheers, guys.
See ya.
Later on, you guys.
That's all I know.